In a world brimming with complexity, few creatures embody harmony like the honeybee. With tireless precision, she dances from bloom to bloom, each motion guided by millennia upon millennia of instinct, each act in service to the whole. And then there are the beekeepers, watchful stewards of this ancient symbiosis. Part agri-scientist, part poet, they move along their hives with the efficiency of Mo, Larry, and Curly, tending to the bees' needs as best they can comprehend, and with the infrequency of a waterfall in the Sahara, sometimes running off, flapping and flailing like a penguin on a hot sidewalk. This is their journey.
Welcome to Bee Love Beekeeping, presented by our great friends over at Mann Lake. Today we're concluding our discussion with the two giggliest beekeepers around, I hope that's a word, giggliest beekeepers around, Kim and Steph. We will finish up our top 10 list of decisions to make before you take the leap into beekeeping, plus hear their wild and crazy beekeeping adventure that they had while doing a live video over social media. You won't want to miss the fun. But first, let's take a minute to go inside the hive. This feature presented by Primal Bee. Did you know that beeswax doesn't come from flowers? Bees make it from their own bodies. Young workers, between about 12 and 18 days old, have glands on the underside of their bellies that produce tiny, clear flakes of wax, each one about the size of a pinhead. The bee grabs a flake, chews it soft with her mandibles, and carefully places it wherever the colony is building. Thousands of bees doing this, one flake at a time, is how you get comb. The engineering is absolutely wild. Honeycomb is made of perfect hexagons. This shape uses the least wax to create the most storage space. Mathematicians have been fascinated by it for centuries. Here's the expensive part. Bees need to eat about 6 to 8 pounds of honey to produce 1 pound of wax. So when you see fresh white comb or wax cappings in a hive, you're looking at a serious investment. That's why experienced beekeepers treat drawn comb like gold. It's not just wax. It's thousands of flower visits, converted to nectar, converted to honey, converted to wax, one tiny flake at a time. Next time on Inside the Hive, we'll discover how bees run their own air conditioning system in the summer heat. Now, let's get back to Kim and Steph. Okay, as long as we're on kind of the mindset thing, let's discuss a little bit about how do you feel about bees? Is there a fear going into this? Are you sure you're not allergic to bee venom, for starters? What else on that line should people think about?
I would say my first year, I did not have any type of fear. I wasn't stung. I had a beautiful experience, which can be good and bad because the next year will be much different, can be very different. And unfortunately, you don't know your tolerance to stings until it happens. So again, wearing proper PPE is very important. Getting checked out if you've gotten stung and you feel you've had a certain reaction, you want to go get checked out immediately. What else?
I think you should be honest with yourself about how much time you're willing to put into it. I think that's important to know. How much time are you willing to put into this for your bees and for yourself? Because it is time consuming.
Yeah, that's good advice. Are you two the type that are just normally very calm? Like the first time you were around bees, did you feel very calm or did you feel some anxiety?
I was definitely anxious. there's a lot of energy when you're going into your hive for the first time, whether it's nervous energy or, oh my gosh, is this so cool kind of energy. But I was apprehensive because I knew like this thing could potentially be, I could hurt them. They could in turn hurt me. So I was apprehensive for sure.
I went into it a little more calm.
I learned kind of what we talked on earlier, that my mindset has everything to do with how my visit in the bee yard is going to go. If I go in nervous and anxious, I'm not going to have a good visit. If I go in without love in my heart, I'm not going to in turn show my bees that same love that they show us. So I just have to take a moment, even now to this day, before I go into the bee yard, I just take a moment to collect myself and say, we're going in with the bees. We need to be calm. They can pick up on that. So let's make it a beautiful day. And we go in and we have a great time. But I always take that moment to make sure that my mind is calm. And that's where I'm at with it now.
Kim, how about you?
I went into it a little more calm, I wasn't nervous. I just thought it was amazing. But I have gained a lot of respect for bees, and each experience that you have is going to be different. And when you do get stung, which will happen, and you just learn to try to get through it, the bees are doing what they do. And you want to try to be as calm as possible, because if you're calm, it does help. As Steph said, your mindset can affect how they react. And you want to have respect because at the end of the day, they're still wild creatures that you cannot control. So we can talk about how they act during the season, but you'll get that couple weeks in the summer where there's a dearth and you've got a whole different kind of bee behavior going on. And you want to be able to recognize that. And if you're a backyard beekeeper and you need to check your hive that week, and you open that hive and they're just coming at you, they're not having it, then you have to respect that and think, you know what? I'm just going to close it up and I'm going to leave and I'll check a different time. They're just not having it. You don't want to force it if you can help it.
I love that. Commercial beekeepers don't have that luxury
No.
like hobbyists do. And so if you have the time, it's really nice to be able to do that. We forgot to talk about how many beehives should someone start with, a beginner? Because the natural tendency is, I want to get one, see how it goes.
I'm a big fan of let's get two. Uh, two is a great place to start with, because what if something happens to one of them? That's always everybody's like fear. And it might, I mean, honestly, it could happen, but having two, you also learn a lot. You can see, what is this hive doing? What is this hive doing? And kind of compare them. Also, it's just, I think it's so much fun to have two hives. There's just a huge learning experience having them.
How about starting with 10 or 20?
Oh, yeah, don't start with 10 or 20. That's a way to and not wanna beekeep.
Although we kind of did that because when we were at our location in Pennsylvania, we would take the packages that weren't doing well that we didn't sell, and we
Mhm.
would just try to help them survive. So we kind of took on a little more than we probably should have, just because we're trying to give the bees a fighting
Yeah,
chance.
for sure.
But I would recommend for most everybody else. I understand that cost is definitely something to consider, and you want to just start with one because, of course, it's so expensive. But ultimately, having at least two will help you, because you never know if you're going to need to take resources from a hive to help one that maybe is failing or not doing as well.
I completely agree. Also, if you only had one, whatever it does, you would think is normal,
That's exactly, yeah,
and it
that's
may not be.
mhm.
I started with 2, and the kind of Langstroth boxes that I have, or had at that time, they had the regular entrance in the bottom, and they had a small entrance at the top also, which is fairly normal. One of the hives would only use the top entrance for some reason. So I would have thought that that was normal if that was the
Yeah.
only
Right,
hive that I had.
you wouldn't have known.
But they were just, yeah, they were just goofy bees and they just did that. So We're going to be wrapping up here pretty soon. One of the other things that I think can go with your why you get into beekeeping is also take a good look at what are my long term goals? Do I want to always have two hives because maybe it'll help my allergies? Do I want to get to a point where I'm making a little bit of money at it? Do I want to get to a point where maybe it's a full-time business? Or as you were saying, I want to make some skincare products. What advice do you have for people to really look ahead and set some goals right off the bat?
Well, just keep in mind that if your bees overwinter and they come through winter strong and the queen starts laying, then in spring you're going to want to make what's called a split, which obviously we'll have to touch on that another time. But essentially, you'd be turning one colony into two. So right away, you'll have two. So you want to make sure that you wouldn't get ahead of yourself. If you go over winter with four hives and that's all you wanted, but come spring, all those hives did well, you're looking at potentially 8 hives, which is more money, more time, more resources. It could be a little bit above what you feel comfortable in.
You may also live in a place where you just don't have space for more than a couple of
That's true.
hives.
That's true. Like in my example here, I have 4 hives, but I can't have them in my yard, so my bee yard is separate from where I'm at.
How did you find that other bee yard? Because lots of people might have to do that.
So I was lucky, and we had a family member who has a lot of property, and a lot of it they don't use. They're not utilizing other than just to walk around and such. So we were lucky enough to be able to put our bees there. So family was our option, thankfully.
What if you live in a city?
Hmm. Well, I mean, again, you'd have to check with your county to see, but a lot of people, I know that if you can in your county, you can do rooftop beekeeping, which is something I've thought of. So there's that. Or I mean, you can, I don't know, maybe reach out to some other places to see if you could put your hives on their property. I know some schools and such will allow for that.
Are you planning on expanding your apiary this year? Or are you a beginner thinking about jumping into beekeeping for the very first time? Take it from someone who's purchased beekeeping equipment from many different suppliers. If you want made in USA woodenware, premium feeds, top quality, and great prices on everything, give Mann Lake a try. And whether or not you're a beekeeper, you can help honeybees and other pollinators by planting bee-friendly forage. Mann Lake has that too. In fact, download the free Mann Lake app and learn about some of the best plants for your area. Go to manlakeltd.com and be sure to use discount code GetStartedInBees. It's all down in the show notes for savings on live bees, beginner kits, and even seeds. In the wild, bees choose homes with thick walls and small entrances. Millions of years of evolution went into that preference. Primal Bee built a hive that actually respects that. Insulated walls, thoughtful design, built around how bees want to live. I added one to my apiary last fall with a small late summer swarm that I didn't think had a chance to make it through winter, but guess what? They did. They're alive and well. If you want to give it a try, I've arranged a 10% discount just for Bee Love listeners. Click on over to primalbee.com/BeeLove and use discount code BeeLove, that's all one word, at checkout. Again, that's primalbee.com/BeeLove and use discount code BeeLove at checkout.
I would definitely join a bee association if you live in a city, because if you end up with your hives doing really well and you cannot keep all of those on your property, having someone local that could maybe take them for you, you could make nukes out of them. You could also use it as an opportunity to make some money if that would be something you did more research and looking into.
All right, let's wrap up with a couple of other things, and that is just in general, things that we've left out, such as preparing for potential predators, what else should people be thinking about?
Prepare for having honey. You're going to want to look at the containers you're going to want to get. Are you going to want to label your honey if you get honey? Can you sell your honey where you're at? What's behind that for you? So you definitely need to look at what you're going to do with your honey. How are you going to extract it? Are you going to do it by hand? Are you going to put it in an extractor? So I think that's important. Like, you're going to have some product at some point. What are we going to do with it?
And of course, you want to look into electric fencing wherever you may have your bees. I can speak from experience that maybe the bees or maybe the bear don't find your bees that first year, or maybe they don't find them the second year, but they will find them eventually.
True.
And they will wreak havoc all over the bee yard. And that's something that's devastating for anyone that's involved. So, of course, you don't want anything to happen to your bees, but all that money and all that time you may have spent putting your equipment together. So, that is another expensive investment, but one that is extremely important.
And is there anything besides bears we need to watch out for? Because a lot of people live where there's no bears.
You could watch out for other people. We've had instances where people take hives that don't belong to them. You could have other predators, such as I said, skunk or raccoon come by. Oh, it could be
Mice.
yeah. Oh, mice.
mice
Bee stars,
are-
sure, got to be careful.
Mhm.
Get yourself a mouse guard in the winter.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't forget the European hornets. And the yellow jackets for in robbing season,
Mhm.
which is another topic we could probably talk
All
about.
day.
And again, if you're in touch with local beekeepers, you'll hear about some of that and how to prepare for those kinds of things because predators aren't all big. Some are little and also fly, and some are even birds and things like that. Do either of you have a fun, wild, and crazy story you'd like to share with us?
Well, we do have quite the story. Steph and I go live on Mann Lake's TikTok every Thursday afternoon. We try to do for 12 Eastern time. We were told to go live, funny enough, during a dearth, and this is when we did live hive inspections, and we set the camera up, went live. I'm inspecting the bees. They're not really appreciating it, but all is well at the moment. Steph decided that she wanted to try a new veil that she really liked, and she wanted to see what it was like. However, it wasn't connected to her jacket, and the zipper part I don't think was pulled up all the way. And as I'm inspecting and trying to focus, she is getting stung in the head. So she had gotten stung once, and let me know. We just kept going, but of course that pheromone had been released and she got stung probably 8 more times as I'm trying to go live and the hive is open, and did not know how to handle that. So had to wrap up the live and not and thinking back, maybe we should have included that in the live stuff, because that's a real thing that happens to beekeepers. I mean, it does, but I didn't know how to handle it, so I kind of just hit it, ended it, and then tended to Steph. Wanted to make sure she was okay. She was.
Yeah.
Right.
We jumped right back into it. Within like 15 minutes, I think we are back to
We
her
washed her up. We made sure all the stingers were out. She didn't have any bad reactions,
No.
which was what we were most concerned about.
with that many. Yeah.
I know it's hot. We're in
August heat.
Pennsylvania heat.
Mhm.
So that was quite an experience, which we do talk about now fondly, but at the time was pretty scary.
Now we just laugh about it.
Well, I don't know.
I do.
And if you had left that in, you would have had a lot more views on that video.
I know
We say that all the time, how we regret that, because we would have got so many more views for sure.
but I was more concerned with her
She
well-being.
was. She's being a very good friend.
Well, you guys are brave doing live stuff. This podcast is not live. I guess I'm just not as brave as you guys, or I'm not as talented. I need editing to fix stuff.
No, you'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. I'm coming on your live sometime.
I hope
Do it. We would love to have you for sure.
I hope you do.
I hope you do too.
Be a disaster. Okay. Hey, any other last thoughts?
I do want to say thank you so much for having us. This has been so fantastic. Never thought I'd be on a podcast. So this has been just made my year actually. Thank you.
This was a lot of fun. I was a little nervous going into it, but you are so sweet and just getting us to talk. We are talking about what we love, which is actually beginning beekeeper. We love talking. We have a lot of knowledge in beginning beekeeping, and a lot of people we talk to over the phone are calling for the first time, asking questions about how do I get bees and what do I need to do. So we love to talk to them and let them know that have fun with it. First and foremost, yes, it can be scary. You can get some anxiety with it. It costs a lot, but ultimately, we just want the backyard beekeeper to have fun as we have fun.
Absolutely.
All right, Kim and Steph, thank you so much for your time. It is fun. Sometimes we take beekeeping too seriously. It's fun, it's about the love. And one other thing that I was going to throw out for advice is get the family involved. This doesn't have to just be you, it can be the spouse, the kids, the grandkids, the whoever. It's fun to get other people together doing this with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Find a beekeeping buddy for sure.
All right, take care, you two.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric.
Thanks again for joining us on Bee Love Beekeeping, presented by our great friends over at Mann Lake. Hey, and don't forget to order your bees. And a shout out to Vita Bee Health for their support. Vita's Varroa control range of products includes Apistan, Apiguard, and now Viroxan, extended release oxalic acid strips. Thank you so much, guys. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and follow the show. Tell your friends about it and click on over to beelovebeekeeping.com to sign up for our free newsletter. If you have a guest suggestion or topic that you'd like discussed on the show, shoot me an email, eric@beelovebeekeeping.com. And remember, if you're not just in it for the honey or the money, you're in it for the love. See you next week.